Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a Monday edition of The Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 30 minutes and change, and we appreciate you tuning in. We've missed you the last few days as we've been trumping around the state of Ohio, more specifically Columbus, Ohio, which we'll get into in a second. Monday Night Football tonight, the final wild card playoff game between the Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers to get us ready for the divisional round next weekend. We got five, from over the weekend to dissect. Four of them that came down to the final 1.5 minutes of the game. So that's exciting. We also have to talk about the college football playoff, as we have been off the airwaves for at least 3 days now and not had the chance to talk Miami's win and Indiana's dominating performance. So we'll break that down. And of course, it is Monday, so we go with weekend's worst and best. Just remember, The Rome Show, you can find it on youtube.com/The Romanellas, youtube.com/The Romanellas. You can head to Twitter, X, and Instagram, The Rome Show 1. That's The Rome Show, then the number 1. And of course, OG, Facebook.com/The Rome Show. You can comment live on the show whenever you're feeling up to it. Let's get started here on this Monday, 7:18 in the morning, January 12th, and we are going to go with our weekend's best. When you play, I can't. We lost the sounder. This is what happens when you're gone from the studio for a while. So we will go with weekend's worst to start our show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got 4 weekends worst for the people. Now, here's what happened. Okay. We started off, my goal going into the show today was like, I have to have 3 weekends worst. That's just, there are a lot of things that go wrong on the weekends, but let's break this thing down to 3 of the worst plays. And then I saw what happened yesterday to USA bobsled. If you did not see this, I need you to lock in on the screen right now, because in the 4-man bobsled during the World Cup competition yesterday, the United States team had an unbelievable mishap that sent driver Chris Horn on a solo trek down the bobsled course because his back 3 teammates did not get into the bobsled. If you've ever seen the movie Cool Runnings, which is about the Jamaican bobsled team, loosely based off the Jamaican bobsled team, this looked eerily similar. Check out this video. By the way, I'm not going to play the sound the entire time, but I'm going to start with the sound because it is in Dutch and it is electric. Here is your weekend's worst, number 1.
Ist der beste US-Amerikaner. Oh, was machen Sie denn da? Das gibt's doch gar nicht. Hat man sowas schon mal gesehen? Jetzt fährt er da ganz allein im Vierer hinunter. Verrückte Situation. Was ist denn heute hier los? Francesco Friedrich fährt gegen dieses Starteck. Und jetzt gibt's den Vierer als Einerbob. Da stimmt natürlich überhaupt nichts mehr. Die ganze Statik des Bobs ist kaputt. Die fehlen als Gewicht da hinten drin. Das wird jetzt ein wildes Gerammel von Christopher Horn. Hoffentlich stürzt er nicht. Bremsen kann er nicht. Er kommt da nicht hinten ran an den Recken. Das wird sehr, sehr interessant, wie er das hier löst. Oh je, der arme Horn. Christopher Horn. Viel Glück, dass er hier sauber ins Ziel kommt. Jetzt wird es nochmal ein bisschen steiler, runter nach Celerina, wo sich das Territorium öffnet. Ganz wichtig jetzt hier diese Kurve, dass er die erwischt. Ja, er schafft's, kommt durch die Sachs. Der Rest ist jetzt Formsache. Das bringt er nach Hause. Da ist er im Ziel und dreht sich um. Wo bitteschön sind denn die anderen? Und jetzt ganz schnell nach hinten und ran an den Rechen. Perfekt gemacht von Christopher Horn. Sonderapplaus für diese fahrerische Leistung. Kommt auch von den Kollegen. Punktgenau zum Halt. Ganz allein. 4 Mann waren's. Einer ist übrig geblieben und kann jetzt ein bisschen schmunzeln. Gestürzt im Zweier und jetzt hier dieses Malheur im Vierer. Da katapultiert es sie raus. Direkt vor dem Kameramann. Verrückte Situation. Rausfliegender Carsten Wissering und Hunter Powell. 2 und 3. Und am Ende
who was able to drive the entire bobsled, okay? Drove the entire bobsled down on his own, improperly weighted, with no brake man, didn't flip it, didn't crash it, didn't do anything. Chris Horn, as the United States decides over the next few days who is going to be representing our bobsledding team in the upcoming Olympics, Chris Horn, after that performance, shouldn't be anywhere but driving the bobsled for Team USA. That is our first weekend's worst. Let's continue on. Second, we're going to just give that to Brandon McManus, Matt LaFleur, and the Green Bay Packers. Over the weekend, the Green Bay Packers blew a 21-3 lead against the Chicago Bears. They gave up 25 points in the fourth quarter alone. Not only did that knock the Green Bay Packers out of the playoffs on Wild Card weekend, but now that ended Green Bay's season on a 4-game losing streak. Okay. So not ideal if you're the Packers any stretch of the imagination. Sitting at 9-3-1, and then you lose your last 4 regular season games, and then the 5th one in a row would be the playoffs. And for a team that had a lot of promise coming into the season, that is absolutely not what you're looking for. Well, why are Matt LaFleur and Brandon McManus brought into this conversation? Well, because yesterday, Brandon McManus for the Green Bay Packers, I guess it was 2 days ago, 0 for 2. So had they just kicked one more field goal make and one more extra point, it's a tie game. So Brandon McManus, you have one job, didn't do his one job. But furthermore, I don't think you knew this. Check out your screen. Matt LaFleur yesterday blew a 21-3 lead. Okay? You might be asking yourself, have I seen this before? Yes, you have. Maybe not as the head ball coach, but as an assistant on the Atlanta Falcons staff. Matt LaFleur was a part of the Atlanta Falcons team that blew a 28-3 lead against Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots to lose the Super Bowl. Okay? We'll talk about this over the course of the next few days, but there's a real chance that Matt LaFleur does not have a job coming off that weekend loss. That's your number 2 weekend worst. Let's continue. How about this between A.J. Brown and head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni, in the heat of battle? After A.J. Brown has just dropped a pass out of the hands of Jalen Hurts. This is what you got on the sidelines of the Philadelphia Eagles football game. Nick Sirianni sprinting down the line, trying to get A.J. Brown off the field as the Eagles are trying to get their punt defense on the field. Nick Sirianni gets to A.J. Brown's grill. A.J. Brown comes right back at Nick Sirianni, and bad body language from A.J. Brown on the bench, and the Eagles eventually lose 23-19 against the San Francisco 49ers at home. Okay? And this is not just a singular playoff game scenario for A.J. Brown and Nick Sirianni. It's a twofold conversation as much as it's the same conversation. All year, A.J. Brown has been problem, maybe a very extreme word, but issue, maybe more of a realistic word. You've heard some of the conversations with reporters. You've heard the way he's talked all year. His body language has been very similar. A.J. Brown, in my opinion, is not somebody that moving forward the Philadelphia Eagles should want to keep on their roster. They won the Super Bowl with him. They got out of the trade from the Tennessee Titans what they needed to get out of it. But that's not the energy you want inside that building. That's not the energy that allows this Philadelphia Eagles team with a lot of talent and one of people's Super Bowl favorites heading into the start of the regular season. You cannot have that on your roster. And Nick Sirianni came out after the game and talked about their relationship and how this happens in sports and blah, blah, blah. And I don't disagree with any of that stuff. I just think that there was one too many turmoil incidents this year with not just the Eagles, but most specifically Nick Sirianni and A.J. Brown. So I'm curious to see what they do, the Eagles, that is, with the talented wide receiver in A.J. Brown, because Devontae Smith is good. Devontae Smith, I don't believe, is a number 1 wide receiver. So if you were to make that change and move on from A.J. Brown, if you so believe that he is not great for that locker room, you're going to have to go find another number 1 wide receiver. A.J. Brown and the Eagles and Nick Sirianni, you are our 3rd weekend worst. Finally, your last and arguably my favorite weekend worst goes to the Southeastern Conference. Here's some crazy statistics for the people. There were 5, the most out of any conference, 5 SEC schools put into the college football playoff this season. Over the course of the college football playoff since its invention, I think in 2015 or 16 or something like that, I believe the SEC has had the most schools by a long stretch in the college football playoff. In the first iteration of the 12-team format, they had 45% of the field. However, that has not led to ultimate success from the Southeastern Conference in terms of winning national championships. Okay? 3rd straight year, it's guaranteed there will not be an SEC school winning the national championship. On top of that, we didn't have an SEC school make the championship. And when you look at the bowl games, overall SEC schools have 4 bowl wins. Okay, but if you take away SEC schools playing other SEC schools in bowl games, the Southeastern Conference is currently 2-8 in all college football playoff action over the last month against not SEC opponents. I think we have hit the end of the road on the every football player ever in the history of time has to play in the SEC. I think we've hit the end of the road on the SEC, just greater than everyone else in college football. And we got to put number 1 in the SEC all the way down to number 10 in the SEC in the tournament, because the number 1 team in the ACC could never battle with the number 10 team in the SEC. That's false. And the narrative of the Southeastern Conference being the greatest conference in college football should be no longer. To finish that thought, you really don't have to play quarterback in the SEC if you want to be one of 32 quarterbacks in the National Football League. There are certain players in this league that tell you everything you need to know. Let's go through the quarterbacks that are currently still in the postseason. Okay. Battle tonight, CJ Stroud, Ohio State, Aaron Rodgers, Cal. Neither of them played in the SEC. How about you go back? Caleb Williams, Oklahoma, before the SEC. USC, neither the SEC when he played there. Jalen Hurts last night ended up getting drafted by Oklahoma when they were in the Big 12. Lamar Jackson, obviously not in the playoffs. Louisville, another playoff quarterback. Josh Allen, Wyoming. Okay. Brock Purdy played at Iowa State. Justin Herbert, Oregon. Drake May, North Carolina. What am I getting at here? I think we have finally ended the narrative in college football, and thankfully so, that it is SEC over everything else. Especially, not that this was ever a big narrative, but the quarterback position is starting to be proven that it literally does not matter what school they go to. Because the most important thing is, can they read a defense? The most important thing is, can they not turn the football over and make bad decisions? So there is a slow turning death to the Southeastern Conference. That could be considered simply the worst for them. Listen, we are working our tails off right now to find our favorite sounder, and we found it. Haven't been here in a few days. Colors change. Things look different. Now we know. Let's go to our weekend's best, and let's have some fun starting in Jacksonville. Listen up.
Success, young man.
Thank
you.
you.
Hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank
you.
you.
You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you
it.
just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, man.
So that is an exchange between a reporter in Jacksonville yesterday and head football coach Liam Cohen. And there's been a lot of conversation about this reporter saying what she said yesterday to the Jacksonville head coach. And it's pretty simple diagnostics. There's a lot of people in the profession of journalism that believe this is over the top, that you as a journalist should not ever entertain that wall of going from professional, asking questions about the game, to I'm a friend or a fan or a peer, and I want to make sure you know you did a fantastic job. Okay? Well, you might say to yourself, well, Andrew, you must like it because it's your weekend's best. Hell yeah, I like it. What are we doing here? Okay? These are the things, though, that bother me a lot about the social media era, or just where we're at right now in 2026 as a society. Screw you, people. Okay? If this nice lady from the local newspaper in Jacksonville wanted to give Liam Cohen his flowers after an elite season for one of the worst franchises in the National Football League. That's a fact. Like, this is not something that's like, oh, Romo just not like the Jacksonville Jaguars. No, they sucked. They've always sucked. Outside of Tom Coughlin and Mark Brunell and another iteration that saw Blake Bortles take them to the postseason, this is not a winning franchise. This is not, hasn't been, better now, a great, well-run franchise. Okay? And Liam Cohen comes in, wins 12 games, hosts a playoff game for Jacksonville. They win the division, changes to a degree Trevor Lawrence, though he didn't play great last night. And a local Jacksonville newsstand reporter wants to give the dude his flowers. All the people that want the fast Twitter fingers right now, or they want to hammer this reporter for whatever unprofessionalism they feel that is, shut up. Go back to your little hole. You're the problem. Why does there have to be rules on this thing? So on the flip side, a coach can eviscerate a reporter. A coach can essentially tell a reporter they're dumb, they don't know what they're talking about, and they have no clue. And don't get me wrong, we usually rip coaches that do this too, but that happens often. Okay? Then we finally get into that meeting room, that dreaded interview room, where I'm going to imagine most coaches, especially after a loss that ends your season, doesn't even want to enter the room. And you have this sweet woman that just wants to give 14 seconds of encouragement to a head coach that is clearly upset about his team losing the playoff game. This is where, in our world, you need to have the shut the hell up valve. Okay? There are just certain times no one wants to hear from your stupid negativity. You know, you got these reporters on Twitter. Oh, this is awesome. Really? I think this is unprofessional because the first thing they teach you in journalism is that you're not a fan. Okay, well, people that are tweeting that, you've been in journalism for 15 to 20 years. This ain't the same world we were in when you started your career in 2005. And even if it is a similar world, don't we need a little bit more love out here? Don't we need just a little bit more? Every interaction doesn't have to be something negative going on or a sarcastic response from the coach because they think the reporter is just a not smart person. So I want to give that lady, I got to find out her name. I want to give that lady in Jacksonville her props. That was one of my favorite things I saw over the weekend. And anyone in journalism that wants to go on the book of journalism and talk about how this shouldn't happen, I think you should go scratch and sniff. Just go take a walk. Stop talking for like 10 minutes, go take a walk, and reevaluate the negativity or the positivity that you want to spew. I bet sports would be more entertaining if we had reporters like that, if we had interactions like that. And shout out to Adam Schefter, by the way, who actually tweeted that it was an awesome exchange. Your number 2. I don't know if better than all the rest, but I got to tell you, over the weekend, the College Baseball Coaches Convention took place in Columbus, Ohio. And I got a lot of college baseball coaches that listen to the show. Shout out to those guys for supporting the Rome show, and shout out to those guys for always having my back on the microphone. And I got to tell you, man, we went to Columbus, Ohio over the weekend, home of the Ohio State University, home of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and home to an elite environment that I never knew existed. Oh my God. We stayed at the Hyatt Regency downtown, middle of Columbus, Ohio. And I got to tell the people, I did not know that a city in the middle of Ohio could be as much fun and enjoyable as Columbus was. So if you're looking for a not expensive trip this summer where you can eat, you can drink, and I guess you could, in theory, be merry for your entire trip, I am going to suggest Columbus, Ohio. I now want to make sure in my lifetime I get to a Buckeyes game in the fall and I get to experience that city, because you are walking from bar to bar, from restaurant to restaurant, so many places within like a half of a mile walk. with really good energy, awesome people, nice environment. Shout out Columbus, Ohio. You get the button twice. Okay, let's finish. I've never seen something like this on the hockey rink before. Okay, I just want to preface this final and arguably the greatest weekend best we are ever going to have in the history of time by saying I have never seen something like this on the hockey rink in my life before. And by the way, you're listening to the radio show of a guy who led his men's roller hockey league in points and assists and goals this year. So I know what the hell it looked. No, I'm kidding. That's a complete lie. Right here, you're going to see Abby Murphy of Minnesota women's ice hockey put together one of the greatest displays of stick handling, puck control, hand-eye coordination, and ability to set her teammate up for a goal that you have ever seen. Check out Abby Murphy on the Golden Goals.
And nobody picks up finale on the backside. I mean, the skill of Abby Murphy, one of the best in the world, not just at the collegiate level, but every.
Can we see that again real quick? Run it back. Here it is.
Zawoyski, and nobody picks
so
up
she flips
finale
the puck
on the
up
backside. I
and
mean, the skill of Abby Murphy, one of the best in the world, not just at the collegiate level,
across
but
the ice to her
every.
teammate for the biscuit. I cannot believe when I saw that yesterday. I'm like, this might not be just the weekend best. This could be 12 days into the year, the greatest play of the year. Also, 35 years and like 75 days into my life, this could be the greatest thing I've ever seen on a hockey rink. Shout out Abby Murphy. That was unbelievable. And if you heard the reporter on the call, not just one of the greatest players in the NCAA, but Abby Murphy, one of the best players in the world. Shout out, Abby. You are. That is weekend's worst and weekend's best, as we do every Monday on the Rome Show. Appreciate the Romo Sapiens that are tuning in. Want to give a shout out to my guy, Connor Cortman. Met with him over the weekend in Columbus. He's a contestant winner and becoming a really good friend of mine. I was told a story by him about him and his wife listening to the show. And my whole ride home yesterday from Ohio took me about 7 hours. I just kept thinking about like, man, maybe we're doing something right here. If one singular person and his significant other can wake up in the morning and think, man, I really want to listen to this guy talk. Connor was the first in a line of many that I ran into over the weekend, especially in the college baseball circuit, that offered their, I would not say the word praises because that's reckless. This is not even close to good yet. But I would say they offered their nicenesses to me in telling me that the Rome Show is in a nice place. And it made me really want to take a second on this Monday, starting with Connor, because he really has been pumping my tires recently and I freaking love it. But two, it's really opened my eyes to a whole lot more people that have been tuning into the show. And I really appreciate you out there, because without the opportunity for you to click this thing open or hit the subscribe button or retweet it or share it somewhere or whatever the case is, we got no growth. And we finally reached 50 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is so incredibly exciting. We are inching closer to 500 followers on Instagram, which is unbelievably exciting. And we are inching closer to 500 followers on the Twitter X, which is also super exciting. We take a quick commercial break. We come back and we talk National Football League, college football playoff, and we end the show for the people. Stick with us here on the Rome Show on a Monday, January 12th, 7:45. Be back after this.
What is one thing every great leader has in common? They challenge their people to not stop at the first right answer. Tighten the Lug Nuts is a leadership book that will teach you how to move past the first right answer with entertaining and detailed examples founded in real-world concepts and experiences. Accelerate towards your professional goals with Tighten the Lug Nuts, one of the best leadership books available.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Rome Show. I should say welcome back into the Rome Show here on a Monday, January 12th, 2026. I'm Andrew Romanella. We're in the state of New Jersey. It's 7:47 in the morning, and I appreciate you for tuning in. We had our weekend's worst and our weekend's best. If you missed it, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, just search the Rome Show podcast. I don't know if you remember the cups when you were growing up, the classic, maybe a fountain drink or fountain water, or you might have had these in school. Well, I got the headband version of it on right now, thanks to Junk Brand headbands. They were at the convention this weekend, and if you are a regular watcher of the Rome Show, you'll know that I have a headband on every show. So I went over to the Junk team, spent some time with them, and they gave me 2 free headbands. And I said, you know what? I got to rock that one on the Rome Show today. I get no money back from any of this, though maybe one day I would. But go check out Junk headbands. If you're a headband person, go check out the Junk Brand because they are fire. All right. I will, over the course of this week, wear every single Junk headband that I possibly have. Let's do a little Monday morning quarterback. We'll go through the National Football League and the college football playoff from the last 4 days. Let's get it started. Starting in college football, because that happened on Thursday and Friday, and we couldn't unfortunately get on the airwaves. Miami, they defeated Ole Miss by a score of 31-17 in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Miami outscored Ole Miss 14-11 in the second half to come away with that victory. Carson Beck ran in the game's go-ahead touchdown with about 40 seconds left. Trinidad Chambliss and the Ole Miss offense worked their tails off to get down the field and close to really 3 plays with a chance at the end zone, but that was a little bit too late. And Miami, arguably the last team in to the college football playoff, the number 10 seed, now sits 1 game away from the national champion. Here are the teams that Miami has beat en route to a national championship berth. They have beaten Texas A&M, Ohio State, and Ole Miss. In those 3 games, the Hurricanes have given up a combined 44 points. You know what that means? That through the college football playoff, the defense of the Miami Hurricanes is holding teams to 14.6 points per game. Why is that important? Because the number 1 team in the country in Indiana has slaughtered in the last 2 weeks Alabama and Oregon. 94-25 combined. Think about that really quickly, okay? Indiana has outscored Alabama and Oregon in each of the last 2 weeks by a combined 59 points. What? That is absurd, okay? Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers are legit. So you are legitimately getting, as it currently stands, maybe not the entirety of the year, maybe not the whole course of the college football season, but when the national championship kicks off, over the last month, you're getting the best defense in college football, arguably, against, no argument, the best offense in college football. That is going to be a lot of fun. Plenty of time to break that down as we get closer. We gave the SEC a weekend's worst for their lack of showing. The one thing I got to say before we go to the National Football League is I'm just excited for Golden and the Ole Miss football team. I despise that entire Lane Kiffin situation. I think it's embarrassing the way it is being handled. I think there's a serious problem in college football with the way the system is set up. So it's got to be refreshing. Though it's sad because you had the chance to win the Natty, it's got to be refreshing for those dudes from Ole Miss to finally be out of this crapshoot of who's our wide receivers coach, who's our offensive coordinator, who's our running backs coach, right? And now just get down to the brass tacks of this guy wants to coach us. This is the situation on this team right now. Let's move forward and try to get to next year competing for another national championship. On the flip side of that one, Trinidad Trambliss has been denied his 6th year of eligibility for essentially the 3rd time. Ole Miss will appeal, but that does not guarantee anything. On the professional ranks, we had 5 football games over the weekend, okay, that were all decided by 1 score or less. Last night's Patriots-Chargers game was not that, because we essentially saw the Chargers' offensive line be so atrocious that Justin Herbert multiple times almost got sacked out of the contest. The Patriots and their elite level defense, they won 16-3 last night. You did not need anything overly electric from Drake May. He did a really good job of holding on to the football. No turnovers, 1 turnover. He had the 1 interception, 268, 1 TD. He also ran 66 yards and 10 times. Ramondre Stevenson, 53 rushes for 10 carries. Not a world beater of a day, but the defense for the Patriots held the Chargers to almost nothing. They literally looked like they could barely move the football almost all night. And the one time they did have a chance, they turned the Chargers over in the red zone, and there might have been the game. So the Patriots, they move on as the number 2 seed, and the Chargers have been eliminated. Justin Herbert moves to 0-3 in his postseason career. The Eagles, they lost at home, as we mentioned earlier, to the San Francisco 49ers by the score of 23-19. The 49ers scored 13 points in the 4th quarter of this game. Brock Purdy and the offense overcame not only a George Kittle Achilles tear, which prayers out for George Kittle, but also 2 very bad interceptions from Brock Purdy. Nonetheless, a huge pass from Jawan Jennings to Christian McCaffrey in the second half of this game really put the 49ers in a place. Then Robert Saleh and the defense did what they needed to do. This defense has been questionable the last few weeks, and the 49ers move on to face their division foe in Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks. The Bills, they went down to Jacksonville. They defeated the Jaguars in a game that saw 28 total points scored in the 4th quarter. There was 51 points in this game, total scored. 28 of them were scored in the 4th quarter. So that just gives you everything you need to know about the back end of that contest. I believe it was with 1:04 on the clock that Josh Allen was able to lead the Bills down the field to defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was one of 3 game-winning drives over the weekend that happened with 2 minutes or less on the clock. The other 2 were the Chicago Bears, as we mentioned during Weekend's Best and Weekend's Worst. The Chicago Bears overcame a 21-3 deficit to defeat the Packers. And then Matthew Stafford and the Rams, down by 4 against the Carolina Panthers, score a touchdown with 38 seconds left to win that game. All in all, over the weekend, okay, there were 5 National Football League games, okay? As we mentioned, a lot of them went down to the wire. In the fourth quarter of those 5 games combined, there were 110 points scored. If you're wondering, that's 5 possible quarters of football. In 5 final quarters of football over the weekend, the teams combined for 110 total points. Doing the math on the first, the second, and the third quarter combined over the rest of the weekend, those teams scored a combined 125 points. So, 5 football games, 225 points scored. 50% of those points nearly scored in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter average for NFL football over the weekend was 22 points. 22. That's wild. Whereas the combination of the first through third quarter was a combined 8.3. So you were seeing 8.3 points scored combined, 8.3 points scored combined, 8.3 points scored per guy, and then bam, 22 points. Wild. That must be why they call it Wild Card Weekend. Now I'll stick to the sports to finish. That was Josh Allen's first ever road playoff victory with the Buffalo Bills. Got to be honest, huge moment for the dude. That's not it, though, because there's still one more game tonight. The Houston Texans, arguably one of the game's hottest teams coming into this contest against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Houston comes in having won 9 straight games after starting the season 0-3, and then taking a step further, 3-5 heading into week number 9. They're playing solid on the offensive side, but really good on the defensive side of the ball. On the flip side, you got Aaron Rodgers, who every game that he plays, he's trying to extend his career just a little bit more, and a pseudo-inconsistent offense, but they get their number one guy back in DK Metcalf. You cannot understate how important that is for this offense. It's been a spotty defense for the Steelers, okay? Right now, the line on this game is Texans by 1 point. So essentially, pick them going down to the last play. But the total is 38.5. And I think that is a huge indictment into what type of football game this is going to be. We know the Texans' strength is their defense. We don't really know what the strength is on this Pittsburgh Steelers team right now. Honestly, Mike Tomlin might be the strength. Aaron Rodgers might be the strength. But Pittsburgh has not been great at anything all year, okay? And now the Texans come in as the game's hottest team and the one team that probably 0 people wanted to face heading into the playoffs. So you get now this interesting scenario where you could see this game being 27-24 as much as you could see this game being 13-7. I'm going to err on the side of not high scoring. I'm going to err on the side of defenses control this game. And I'm going to err on the side of Houston being the 4th team in the wild card weekend to go into a road game and win and move on to the divisional round. I've been saying it the last few weeks. Rome Show Podcast, where you get your podcast. Last team I'd want to see entering the post season. Hopefully, I'm the first thing you want to see every morning you wake up. You can catch The Rome Show on youtube.com/The Romanellas, Twitter X, and Instagram, The Rome Show 1, Facebook.com/The Rome Show. I appreciate everybody that tuned in today to listen to the show. I appreciate all the baseball coaches that told me this weekend that they are a fan. And I appreciate you, the people. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share it with your friend. Remember to get your junk headband wherever you get your junk headbands. If you can, tell them the Rome Show sent you. Maybe we'll get a deal. All right, I'm done talking. Andrew Romanella. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.